I imagine God walking to the other side of the garden and saying, Adam, I hate to tell you this, son, but your wife, the one I made for you, she sinned. And she's going to have to die.
Don't look away from me. I have nothing, if I don't have you.
New documents and new statements from Micah Miller's family have came out with them discussing how they absolutely know she did not unalive herself. If you are not familiar with this case, I have made 2 additional videos, which I will link in the comments below. But most people know all the mysteries surrounding this case, and I have new information that only just deepens the mystery. Hello, my name is Holly. Welcome to the Murder She Shed. Just make sure you smash that subscribe button, I guess it's down there, in order to find me in this big YouTube world. Because a Southern gal can get lost in here. Well, I will bring you some rarely discussed true crime cases, breaking cases, and case updates right here on my She Shed. And why wouldn't you want to be here? And join me here weekly. And my GS Simon, who's laying right on the porch. We'd love to have you. These new documents involve more details on how J.P. Miller stalked his wife, Micah Miller, before her death. The month before she died, Micah filed multiple police reports with Horry County Police and Myrtle Beach Police for alleged stalking and harassment incidents involving J.P. On Monday, March 11th, she filed a complaint and motion for a restraining order against him through the Surfside Beach Magistrates Court to establish a pattern of stalking or harassment. The paperwork requires 2 police reports be attached to the filing that document either first or second degree harassment and or stalking. It appears Micah shared 3 reports with the police. The first police report given by Micah was on March 3rd at 1 p.m. at a place called the Wicked Tuna, which is a restaurant in Horry County. JP sent Micah multiple texts that day, including a text that he knew exactly where she was and even what she was eating. Micah said the first text came while she was at an oyster roast with her family. She documented the text as saying, "Enjoy your oysters." The second text asked her how she enjoyed the church that she had attended that morning, with him naming the church she had attended. I found this extremely strange, considering he would have been preaching at his own church that morning. I mean, who did he send to spy on her while he was preaching? She was attending another church, and he knew that she had attended. He knew she was there. He knew where she eat after church. How did he know all this? Because you know he was preaching that morning. Actually, the church just put the website back online today. So I went back and I looked through the sermons to figure out if he was at his church on March 3rd. And here is that sermon.
So if anyone is trying to steal your peace, steal your joy, steal your church family from you, steal your friends, steal anything, steal your peace of mind, if they're trying to steal anything, it is the enemy.
So JP would have had to have a partner participating in his stalking of Micah in order to know what church she would have attended that morning. The second report was the March 5th incident in which JP allegedly stabbed her new car tire with a razor blade. Then on March 11th, Micah alleged she found 3 more razors in her car's tire and that JP had keyed the back of her vehicle. She continues saying she found a tracker and letter accusing her of an affair with a teenager. Her restraining order request asked for 3 things. 1, that JP would not be allowed to threaten, abuse, or molest Micah or her family. Number 2 was that JP could not enter the home, place of employment, or other locations. And number 3, JP could not communicate with Micah in any way. Text, call, whatever. Those were the rules that were laid out. Micah and JP also had a post-nuptial agreement. JP had this document wrote up by his attorney, and Micah did not have her own lawyer present when she actually signed this document. On this document, he decided who got their personal assets and property. It also had a no adverse contact order, which restrained them from engaging directly or indirectly in any adverse conduct towards one another, including but not limited to following or stalking the other party. 2 days before Micah was found dead, JP was served divorce papers. And also, he had the power of attorney over Micah. So he had the rights over all her possessions and what happened to her after the death. The value of Solid Rock Church, the church where JP was a preacher at, is $5.9 million, which included 4 properties in its own plane. Micah's sister Sierra has filed legal documents accusing JP and Solid Rock Church of colluding to defraud and deprive Micah of her fair share of property after he sold their home to the church. JP sold his and Micah's home to the church in December 2023, 2 months after Micah filed for divorce the first time, which the first time, for some reason, and no one knows except this interview, which I'm supposed to show you in a minute, she alleges why the divorce was stopped in the first place. And she's saying that people of the church were paid off to get them back together. I'll let you listen to that interview in a minute. So anyway, Micah's sister Sierra is asking that the home Micah shared with JP be restored back into the marital estate, and for JP to provide proof that he did not try to hide money from Micah in the past 3 years.
I hope I'm talking to my husband. At this point, I don't even know who my husband is because I don't have a paper trail. I don't have a copy of my marriage license and where it was filed and proof that I am married to who the world thinks I'm married to, who I think I'm married to. I don't even know anymore. I'm getting tax records from Micah Francis, Micah Miller. I don't even know what my last name is. I know I'm Micah Acacia. I know I'm that. My parents gave me those 2 names. That's on my original birth certificate. Still is today. But I don't know who I belong to under God and legally anymore because I don't have a paper trail. And that's important because if you get put on life support, if you are mentally unable or unfit to run the church, I need to know the paper trail. Who's in charge? We got a lot of assets, a lot of money to guard. This is not our money, it's God's money. And whose money was that? Before God, He put it in the pockets of people. And then those people gave it to us and entrusted us with God's money in God's house to do as God wishes. But I don't know who's steering the boat anymore, and that concerns me. I'd like a paper trail. I don't feel like that's too much to ask from the First Lady, or maybe the First Lady of Solid Rock, in case something happens to you. I love you. This isn't to harm you. I love you.
After Micah had filed for divorce for the second time, she had started gathering evidence of JP's abuse when he decided to admit Micah into a mental institution in order to steal this evidence from her. While she was admitted to the facility, those documents, emails, and files were removed from her phone, laptop, vehicle, and purse, and were never recovered. And if you know anything about that, you know that while she was in the mental hospital, he had taken her car. And so I'm sure he took her belongings too. And he's saying he had every right to. Because he thought he had every right to erase all of her evidence too. Micah was also reportedly not able to access her iCloud account, email, or Facebook profile. JP used at least one of Micah's accounts, causing any recipient to believe that they were communicating with Micah. And he even posted a topless photo of Micah, saying, well, I took it down after an hour, so it's all right. I guess that was his logic. I can't imagine for any reason my husband posting a topless photo of me. For no reason. I don't care if we got divorced. He would not do that. He has more class than that. What kind of man does that? That's just disgusting. Micah's family does believe her death was premeditated and staged, especially after they visited the area where Micah allegedly unalived herself. The area is a very thickly wooded area that Micah had never visited before in Lumber River State Park. Her belongings and shell casings were found 40 meters away from her body, and the water she was found in is very stagnant and could not have floated her body that far from where she was shot. How, if you unalive yourself, you were shot, fall into stagnant water. Let's say she did fall into the stagnant water. How could she have floated that far away from the scene of the crime? They actually think her body was placed there.
This is video her family filmed when they visited.
The theory of does not add up to me because you're telling me her body floated all the way down this stagnant water and her belongings were all the way up here. We had to walk down a trail, a separate trail, climb through all this mud and trees and fallen debris to even get to where her body was down the water. It's not like she could have, left her belongings and walked down the water and then committed suicide down here and then somehow the bullets and everything stayed over there.
So the bank where the bird boxes and stuff are is where the shell casings and stuff were found, and the gun was found forward of that right in the water, and then her body was about 40 meters away, and the water doesn't flow at all. There's no way she would have floated 40 meters away from the edge. It is as if she was placed there.
Micah's father stated there were multiple shell casings and a live round found at the crime scene.
I believe the law allows them to do less work. It does not prevent them from doing more work. And since there were multiple shell casings found and a live round found, it already didn't make much sense. So it would seem that they would automatically do a complete toxicology, not just blood alcohol, and a complete autopsy, which they did not do. And we're just devastated that they didn't because John Paul rushed the cremation process.
Allison is JP's first wife, whom divorced him after learning about the affair between JP and Micah. Sometime after Allison had learned about the affair, which I'm sure most people have seen by now. The video shows JP in a state of mental breakdown or high or drunk, who knows, sprawled out face first on the grass, talking about how his body's crawling with ants and he's sobbing and just acting crazy. Sure, you've seen this video. Not only did JP have an affair on Allison, but she also claimed he had an addiction to prostitutes and confessed to her that he had performed sex acts on minor females in the congregation, girls under 16. So, just like his daddy. Father like son, apparently. Although JP alleges Micah had a mental disorder, Micah Miller's family's attorney has said that Micah denied any mental disorders and said she only took medicine that JP had actually given her. He had her take this medication. And the medication was lithium, and then he injected her with testosterone. Testosterone, because he thought it would enhance her libido.
He claims that she was diagnosed with these mental illnesses and was on lithium. According to her, she didn't know she'd been diagnosed or what her medication was because he always controlled the medication. He administered the medication. In fact, he has admitted that he would cut her pills up and give them to her if she refused to take the medication. Lithium, he has been diagnosed and admits it in a sermon. And if you look up lithium and the side effects of it, or if you take too much of it or you're over-medicated, you go into delirium. And that's what her demeanor reminded me of. He was always on top of making sure she kept that medication. And that son of a bitch would inject her and her buttocks with testosterone, steroid shots.
What for?
Allegedly to enhance her libido. Moron. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
Now, this next video is just considered hearsay and allegedly from a woman who had knew JP and his family for 25 years. And it was the one I was telling you about where she filed for divorce and they didn't divorce the first time. And she explains why that happened and so much more things. So have a listen.
My family knows them from 25 years ago. Unfortunately, it's been 25 years worth of information that I'm trying my best to eloquently summarize. My sister was friends with JP's first wife, and his divorce to be with Micah. And so Micah was unfortunately, and like she was young. I mean, rest her, God keep her soul at peace, but she was the babysitter, and then a lot of things started coming out that, he was buying her cars, and it started looking really suspicious. And then him and his wife got divorced, my sister's friend, and then relationship was kept pretty secret until she was old enough, but then JP lost his right to minister for 3 years because of the affair. What would that be? I mean, when Micah's my age, so whenever she was 18 is when they got married, or back to actually officially together, but she was 16, so 15 years ago. I noticed that she was always really sad looking, and always just really dressed down and pushing herself low. So I asked someone what was going on, and they told me that in the church that JP believed that women shouldn't be dressed up and look more prominent than the man, so he would make her dress uglier or dowdier than him, because that was in their doctrine. It was really weird. And then he would talk about her horribly every sermon I went to. Every sermon. And I would, my husband and I actually got kicked out of my house because I told Nick that it was wrong for JP to tell the church that she was schizophrenic and not to answer her phone calls. He told people not to answer her phone calls if she called them. And this was a couple weeks ago because, she was trying to reach out for help. And he told everybody on that stage not to listen to her because it was bad for her mental health. So then, it was just really obvious that, he was, and a lot of people say, even the church is saying that she was having an affair, but he was having an affair first, and she left him, and then he paid people to get her back, and a lot of money. He paid people in the church to convince her to come back, and she did, and then she got back away, and then he hired a private investigator to say that she was sleeping with one of the ministers, and then he got fired, and Micah was never seen again. They said that Micah was a mental institution, but she was actually in Africa, because I'm the club that they own. My family is friends with the actual owner, and he's said I called him and I was like, "What's going on?" I'm being compared to Micah. Why is she in a mental institution? And they're like, she's actually in Africa. She comes back from Africa and then gets killed the next day.
And then we also found out during that time that she bought 2 cars.
Yeah, she bought 2 cars.
Hopefully she was in a mental institution,
yeah.
but she also bought 2 cars.
And we called the dealership, and they said that she had came in and bought 2 cars.
It was the dealership she used to work at.
They were completely just trying to cover everything up. Say she was a mental institution when she was trying to run away. I haven't seen the pictures. He just said that he had pictures of her on the beach with their 20-year-old minister that they had just ordained. He got fired, but he told the congregation that he had filed for divorce because of that. So when everybody's saying that she had filed for divorce, he had said that he had filed for divorce weeks before, and that he was in the clear because of the affair. Everything has been completely skewed from what is being told to what's actually been said.
In the divorce document that was just released, it stated on it that Micah already owned multiple firearms. I'm assuming JP had not give Micah her guns back yet, so that's why she went and bought a new gun that day, the day of her death. Many people have questioned whether it was for self-defense or for self-unaliving. Some people believe she went out to the state park to meet up with someone that day. And she took her weapon because she was a little bit scared. But I'm going to tell you, there was something just released by the sheriff's department. And they're still sticking to the word that it was a self-unaliving. They haven't changed off of that. According to the Robeson Sheriff's Department, the most recent announcement, the FBI, they said, is conducting a parallel investigation in connection with the case, but it is not investigating Micah's death. Sheriff stated the FBI is investigating something separate from her death because her death has been ruled a self-unaliving. So, not investigating her death. What do you believe they're investigating then? Do you have any ideas of what? If it's not her death they're investigating, what do you think it is? Drop that in the comments of any ideas, opinions you have on that. I don't know if it would be these sexual allegations against minors that they could be investigating, or maybe the church was doing some corrupt stuff and he was part of that. JP was part of that. I think JP is going to end up being arrested maybe, but not for her death. And it could be something that the family has turned in against him. Micah's family turned in against him. That may come out. What do you guys think? I'm interested in what you think. If it's not her death, what in the world are they investigating? Anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick update. And there comes Simon. He knows I'm fixing to tell y'all bye. You want to tell him bye? We want him to join us again at the murder she-shed. Absolutely. That'd be fun. You been in that pond out there? I think you've been in... What are you hitting? I think you've been in that pond out there, hadn't you? Me and Simon are going to go in the house. No, we're just going in the house. Nothing exciting. Go in the house and relax. Just relaxation time, that's all. All right. See y'all later. Bye.
Sure is a man.